You know who's selling, who's buying,
There
who's
we go.
divorcing and needs to sell. So you need to know who she is, so that way you can get all her off-market deals when they're divorcing and breaking up and stuff.
That's a
No,
perfect.
bro, you are set. You are set. I love it.
Cody, I work in property and casualty, so I do the insurance for buildings, portfolios, basically anything you can think of, but specifically distressed properties or anything problematic.
Very good. I know Cody. Cody actually is if you can't insure it, he'll find a way to insure it. So they insure some of the weirdest things. We won't go into it now. This is a PG session, but he's got some pretty cool deals he's talked about historically. Go ahead.
I'm Nancy. I work with Century 21 Circle in Joliet. I'm a realtor. I just started a little bit over a year ago, so I'm still kind of new to it. I used to work as a secretary with my dad with heating and cooling, so I know a little bit of that. Yeah.
Very cool. You have an edge. You have an edge. By knowing that part of the stuff, you can make sure your clients don't end up with buying a house and the air conditioning goes down week 2. I've had that happen.
My name is Teresa. I am a new real estate agent.
Welcome.
And I buy off-market properties. I'd like to talk to you about Avalon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Welcome, Teresa. Good to see you again. Please.
My name is Stephanie, and I'm a licensed cosmetologist and a commercial driver.
Commercial driver.
Yeah.
Very cool. Nice to meet you.
CDL?
Yes.
Me too.
I love it. I used to drive a 24-foot straight truck in my old days.
There you go.
And I was like, I still wore a tie and a suit and a tie when I was doing it because that wasn't they would call me and ask me to do it. So I was like the best dressed truck driver in Elk Grove area.
That's all I have.
Please.
I mean, it's
Victoria
a
Fernandez.
whole process.
I still study.
Which level?
Okay.
But I'm really excited to learn today and excited to take the exam and get into it.
Very cool. Welcome. Welcome. It's a great place. It's a great business to be in, to be a part of. Lots of opportunities. You know, they say if you looked at people's income levels across industries, right? You've got doctors and then lawyers and but there's a huge jump in terms of income from people who work professions to real estate investors. And so the real money, if you look at over the course of I think our history in this country, big money was made in real estate. So it's definitely a wealth generation. So welcome and good luck. If you need any questions or answers, let me know. I'll mic in with you while you're taking the exam. And I'm just kidding. That's not I'm just doing that.
I'm gonna keep your number.
Yes, please.
Dalia Al-Shrafa, I've been in the business for 27 years.
There you go.
And sold properties in Canada for 9 years.
Wow.
And
She started when she was 5.
And my background has always been sales. I worked with Mahmoud on multiple deals. He is awesome.
Thank you.
And the fact that he offers $1,000 towards the closing costs to buyers excites my buyers all the time. So that's something to take advantage of for sure.
Thank you.
And happy to be here with all of you.
Thank you.
My name is Stephanie. I was invited by Dalia. She's going to the session. Thank you for that. And I've been a real estate agent for almost 10 years, transitioning to commercial properties as well. So I'm looking forward to this.
Nice.
Very cool. Welcome. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Yvette Cano. I've been a
Wow.
real estate agent for
Welcome.
4 years. Yes, thank you for having me. So I've been a real estate agent for 4 years, licensed here in Illinois, working on an Indianapolis license, and trying to gather a team here in Illinois to grow.
That's it? You're not going to tell us the other amazing part of what you do? So she is the head of the Hispanic, North?
So I'm the president and CEO of the Northwest Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, okay.
So we're in charge of 5 counties: McHenry, Payne, Suburban Club, DuPage, Lake, and we basically just advocate for individuals on the workforce level, on
immigration level, housing level, and there's just a lot of aspects. But
She's a big deal.
we help the community as much as we possibly can.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eduardo, and I'm taking the process of downtown Chicago to get a license.
Very nice.
I'm here to learn, and thanks for organizing this event.
We'll get on the same conference call with, well, welcome everyone. We have two more, please.
I'm Bianca. I work with Tiffany in our property management, and I also am a licensed cosmetologist and soon to be taking my license to get my real estate.
Very nice. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Lanasia. I as well work with Tiffany at our property management. I am a assistant property manager there. I'm a broker as well. That's all for now.
Well, thank you, everybody. Now for the star attractions. Ladies first.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Tiffany Watkins. I am a designated managing broker. I have been practicing real estate for 25 years. I've never worked for another brokerage. I've owned my own brokerage from the day that I started practicing real estate. I started out doing property management. That's what I wanted to do. That was my passion. But my clients felt that I should do sales as well. So I sell, I rehab, I consult, and I have a full service brokerage. So I have brokers that work for me, that I work underneath me, as well as I have brokers on the management side that help me manage other people's properties. So when the market crashed in 2008 and my clients couldn't sell their rehab investments, I managed it for them. And I do it now when clients want to buy. I typically work with investors who like to buy and want to hold, and we manage it for them day to day. So one-stop shop, we can do it all.
Awesome. I'm going to ask you guys, sorry. Could you go to the next screen? Thank you. So I'm going to ask you guys to click on the QR code and register. Yes. So please, as we're doing this, just click on that QR code, register, so we get your information and we can harass you on a regular basis. Just kidding. But every now and then we just send random checks to people. So we don't do that. But if you're not part of the QR code, it's a possibility that you won't get the check.
Gotcha.
Aaron Noriega, please.
Yes.
Before he starts, I want to thank him for hosting us.
Yes, thank you.
So if we can, he has been so gracious as to hosting and being here. So please, Aaron Noriega.
Yeah. Aaron Noriega, lender, 5 years, and I actually hit my 5 years last month. Doesn't feel like 5 years, feels like 15 with the way this job sometimes, comes at us. But no, very excited for you to be here. I am a lender with the residential space, so I don't do any commercial. I know I heard some commercial out there, sorry to disappoint. But if you guys need connections, I do, talk to various people throughout, the days, the weeks. So if you guys are looking for any commercial lenders, please give me a holler. We do have a few. I can finance up to 4 units, multi-units, condos, townhomes. I don't do mobile homes. I know that's always a big question. I only do manufactured, so as long as you can't put it on wheels and take it away, I can finance. This is my corporate office. I want to extend this office to each and every one of you. If you ever need anything, please, I have 24/7 access. I do need to be here with you, but if you ever have showings, anything, Aaron, I need a workspace for the next few hours. Come on in, generally 9 to 5. I'm always here till about 7 o'clock every day. So if you guys please, more than welcome to always use the office. Bathrooms are going to be down the hall to the right. If anybody needs anything, I do have a fridge, and if you guys see counters full of snacks, I know we have food, but please, sweet tooth people, don't feel bad. Just go up there, get it. Very excited to present to all of you today. Please, if you have any questions, I do tend to talk fast too, but I've kind of been working on that. So please, same thing, stop me. Any questions? No question too big or too small.
And he also is bearing the lead. So as you new brokers are coming up, or existing brokers, you want to do home buying seminars, or you want to put some things together for the community, holding out these events and coordinating with Aaron is a huge asset for you to take advantage of, right?
Yes.
Obviously, the requirement is that you bring your deals to him, but he needs to finance it, right? But he is fantastic in terms of how he delivers and what they put together. And when he says he doesn't do commercial, he did say something about 1 to 4 units. So one of the things that we'll be doing together with Aaron as we go forward is we'll talk about a house hacking program for your brokers where you can actually use residential lending for someone who wants to get into the business of house hacking and building that generational wealth. So buying a 4-unit building, living in it, and then 6 months later you buy another 4-unit building and you live in that one. And just keep, the next thing you know, you've got, over the course of 5 years, you could have 5 or 10 4-unit buildings.
Rents, buy a new one, rents.
Yeah.
We'll get into it.
So anyways,
Sorry, very excited.
yes. So we will, if you hopefully you've registered, because remember you want to get that check in the mail sometime in the future. That may or may not come. Next slide, please.
Next one.
So we're going to talk about the real estate sales process. Tiffany, fire away.
So, I have a question for you guys. I want to be interactive versus me doing all the talking because I can talk a lot. And this will keep me on track. The question is, what is the question that you ask your new clients? What is the number one question that you would ask them? And why would you ask that question? Anybody?
Are you buying or selling?
Are you buying or selling? Any other question? What's your budget?
Should you get pre-qualified already?
Should you be qualified already? Well, the number one question you would ask is, what is your motivation? That determines everything. Why are you moving? Are you moving because of work? Because your landlord has went up on your rent? Your family is expanding? You're moving. What is the reasons? That is the number one reason. When you find out their why, it'll help narrow everything down for you. The next question will be setting the timeline. How soon do they need to move? So, if you have a client that's working immediately, saying they need to move in 30 days, 6 months, or a client that's saying, hey, I'm just shopping around, just trying to figure some things out. I plan to buy maybe in 2 years from now. You'll know that. When they tell you their why, you find out how long they're expecting to wait before they begin to look and purchase.
So I'm going to jump in with you if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
So how many brokers who have been doing this for at least a bit, had 1 or 2 clients, have spent days or months or weeks going from property to property to property to property, trying to find a property? Anybody done that at least a couple times, right? And what would that be? Was because you didn't find out maybe what their actual motivation was, or they didn't know what their motivation was. Anybody who doesn't do that anymore does something different now because of that? Don't all jump up at once. Go ahead.
I tell them we're not watching House Hunters on TV. This is real life. This is our time. This is how we make our money. So I need to know, are you serious active buyer? And that's when we talk about the reviewing of their finances. How are they going to pay for this property? Are there cash, loan, some form of trust, some way? Do they have any money saved? Because you'll be surprised how many people want to buy a house but don't have any money. And that is something that really needs to be discussed about the money component, especially if they're not cash and they're doing finance. But we'll talk about that later on down the road with the loan officer. I'm not going to step into that territory. And then the last thing is building trust. For some people, this might be the biggest transaction they ever do in life, purchasing a home. And it's biggest commitment for some people. 30 years to commit if you're doing the financing. Why would I trust you to help me find, for some people, their forever home, or some people their first home? It's building that relationship, building that rapport, making people trust you and feel that you're doing it in their best interest. And I've been in this business, like I said, for 25 years, and I've ran into people who's like, oh, I've been trying to see this house for the longest, and my broker kept telling me that it wasn't available to be seen, because before they changed the laws, we used to give out this thing called a cooperating brokerage agreement, and some brokers, if it wasn't in a price point, which is unethical, of their commission they wanted to make, they wouldn't show the listing to their client. So you're working for the best interest of your client, and building a trust is making them feel that you're listening to them, that you're hearing what they want. Sometimes we can put things in our head what we think is best for other people, and versus hearing them and building a relationship and letting them know, like, I'm here for you and I'm here to listen to you and hear what you want. And I tell people, I typically find on the buyer side, I typically find my clients a place in by the third time they go out. I put them in a place because I ask all the right questions in the beginning. I ask, what is their motivation? What are they looking for? The first time we go out, I let them pick wherever they want to go. They send me 10 properties. We want to look at all 10 of them. And while we're there, I'm asking questions. What you like about this home? What don't you like? Talking to them and engaging with them for them to tell you what they're looking for. They get in, oh, I have to have a finished basement. Oh, I have to have a garage. And then you talk to them and explain to them how that looks as we go forward. But I'm gonna talk more about their wants and what they want later on down in the presentation. So next slide. Move to the next slide, yes.
Oh my God.
Technology, it's okay. We having some technical issues.
Where did it go?
But while we're trying to get that together, let me get my phone because I have to slide on my phone.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay.
There we go.
Going?
No, go back.
Right there.
Deal preparation.
Perfect.
What do you all think is one of the things that'll kill a deal?
No money.
That part, yes. No money. Anything else? What'd you say? Inspection? Oh, yes. That would definitely kill a deal, inspection. Okay, well, first thing, when we talked about financing, making sure your client, if they don't have cash, that they're pre-approved. Now, what I do to ensure that this pre-approval is a valid and good pre-approval is I call the lender. I speak with the lender and I ask the lender questions about the financing. Because what a lot of people don't know is the bank is saying they're going to give you $100,000. However, the loan officer has calculated a certain amount for taxes and a certain amount for insurance. So I asked, how did they come up with that $1,000? What was the taxes they incorporated into it? What was the insurance amount? Now, some lenders may be on old numbers and saying, well, for the insurance in that area where they say they're looking, it's $1,500, but with this increase in insurance over the last 3 years because of all of these natural disasters, that 2024 number is different in 2026. It's doubled in some areas. Some areas it's 3 times higher. So his calculation is totally off. And like I said, you want 1,700? Yeah, they're probably about 2,500 now in this particular area. So that changes their amount that they qualify for, because if they're qualifying for 2,400, 1,000, 100,000 with insurance being 1,700. Now it went up to 2,400. That changes their loan amount. Then taxes in that area, they'll talk about in taxes. They'll say, well, that particular area, over average, they're saying we're doing the taxes for $3,000 in the area in taxes for their loan amount. But in that area, they're looking, the taxes are $6,000. That makes a difference. So when you're sending your clients home, you need to educate them and tell them, like, look, based off this pre-approval, this is what the taxes look like, and this is what the insurance looks like. And this is why I'm sending, when I send you these homes, if the taxes are exceeding this amount significantly, you're not going to be able to afford the home. So they don't get their hopes up high. I even tell my clients, unless you have some more money, I can't show you that home because it's going to change your perspective. You like the home and you can't afford to buy it. I'm not taking you out to see it. That narrows down your time that you're spending with a client on things they cannot afford to buy. Because remember, as real estate brokers, our time is our money. I don't want to take my client out to see 7 properties that they cannot buy, and they get their hopes up and love the property, and then find out, oh, it doesn't meet the criteria for the lender. It exceeds your price point because the taxes are too high. Now, once they have identified a property, that they like, I also encourage them to contact their insurance broker, whoever they have insurance with, and ask them to give them an estimate of what the insurance is going to cost before we even get to the attorney. While we negotiating the contract, you can talk to your insurance broker and find out what the insurance is going to be on this home. So if they're saying insurance is $3,000, and when he looked up the house had 5 of the claims on it, they may not even insure it now. We gonna need your assistance because they can't even get insurance because people don't know that. As new brokers, you don't know that some properties cannot be insured because they had too many claims from the previous owner. Even though now they ask the question, the attorneys do, have you had any claims submitted in so many amount of years? If you have a good attorney. But if you don't, this is something that you might want to work on finding out prior to you even drafting the contract. Market comps. Those are so important for the buyer and the seller side. Some people put in sweat equity and they love their home and they really think it's worth $500,000. But in that area, no home is selling more than $350,000. Depending on who the appraiser is, they may get a little more out of it, but not a $200,000-$300,000 difference than what the average home that's similar to the one that they have in that area has sold for the last 6 months. That's pretty much how far they typically go back. However, if you have a good appraiser, he can go into another town to find a home that's similar to yours. If there's none in the town that you're in within the last 6 months, he doesn't find any comps that support the type of home, the size, the make, they can go into other neighborhoods and they'll justify going into that other neighborhood and making adjustments to meet those comps for that particular house. And a lot of brokers don't know that. You can contest your comps. If you get a appraisal done and the comparables they send back is not matching, doesn't make sense, fight it. You work for your client. That is the reason they're paying you a commission, to ensure that they get the home of their dreams. And setting pricing, your pricing strategy goes back to your comps, helping your clients set the price. You tell them, I tell my clients, okay, look, I know you want to sell this house for $500,000. In the area is selling for $350,000, but I listed for $500,000. But I'm gonna tell you how this is going to happen, how this is going to work. How soon are you trying to sell this? Because it might not sell. And that information just explains it to them why, based off the comparables in the area, based on what the average homes are, how many other homes are in the area for sale that's similar to yours. All of those things taking place, and you figure that out by doing a comparative market analysis, which in turn help you set your pricing strategy for sale and to buy. When my clients, when they list the price and my client wants to draft up a contract to buy, I do a comp for it, a comparative market analysis to see what homes in that area have sold and let my client know if they're pricing it right, if they're pricing it too low or they're too high, to ensure that they get that deal. Preparing documents. Now, this is something that I've noticed that a lot of people don't do. Read. We are in this instant gratification world that we like.
By the way,
to
she was
swipe.
telling me that just like 20 minutes ago. She's like, you don't read any of my emails, do you? And I'm like, no.
No. I said, because you send back the question that answered in your email that I sent to you. As a broker, you should read every contract page by page to know and explain to your client what they're signing. And they're not going to read it. And if you do a DocuSign or Doc Loop, they just go click, 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 click. And even in the areas where they have to read the question and check the box, they're going to skip over that and the document is not going to be complete. And I sent it back to them. I said, I can tell that you didn't read. They go, huh? I said, because there was questions that you were supposed to answer, yes or no. Did you do this? And you didn't. Oh, I just clicked the box. You're signing a contract for a property that you're buying and you're not taking time out to read it. Read it. I'm going to go over the main points. When I called you, I discussed the main points, but you didn't even bother to check and see if I put in what you even asked me to put in the contract for you. We have the great attorney review period. We'll get to that in a second. But as brokers, read the contract so you can explain to your clients what they are signing up for, what is going on with this transaction. Because the new contracts are different, even about the inspections. It's 3 types of inspections that you can click in the box. One of the inspections that says that you will inspect the property without notifying the seller that you're inspecting it. When you do that, that means that you cannot request for any inspection repairs. But most people haven't read it and even figured that part out.
So why would you, just as a question, why would someone want to buy a property as is and not go through the inspection process in this market?
Depending, if it's an investor, they're gonna come in and do all new work and gut it out.
So they don't care what it is as an investor side.
Well, they'll still do an inspection. They may do an inspection. Some of them only want to see the drain line, or some of them is really distressed and they have their budget and they know what the amount of work that's going to be done when they came and did the walkthrough with their contractor. Because a lot of times they'll bring their contractor with them to look at the property when they're actually looking at it for the first time.
So when a contract has the as-is provision, it's not waiving the inspection.
No, it is not. And we're going to talk about that. The as is on the seller side, especially because some reason or another, sellers think as is means that I'm going to buy your $20,000 problem, and I'm not. Just because I'm an investor and I'm buying it as is, I still have the right to inspect it. And if I find any material defect that's above my budget, I'm not buying it. Why would I buy a drain line? So I have all of my clients, especially in the city of Chicago, run a camera through the main drain line, because the city of Chicago has a program that if the main drain line is broken on the city side, they will pay for that drain line to be repaired. So before when they do the home inspection, they have to do a main drain line inspection. I've had breaks on the seller side. On the seller side, if you have a break, that break can range from anywhere from $5,000 to $25,000 to repair. Now I'm buying as
So by the drain line, you're talking about the sewer line that runs from the house that connects to the city sewer line.
Yes. So now in my budget, I didn't budget to fix a $25,000 drain line. So I'm going to bring that to the seller's attention. I need you to give me a concession for this drain line break, or you need to fix it yourself. But you're buying it as is. No, I'm buying the house in the condition that it's in. I'm not buying a broken drain line as is. So this deal might not move forward, but you need to explain that to your clients about the different things. Oh, you told me you put the roof on 10 years ago, but it's leaking. The buyer says, I want a new roof. You need to explain to your buyer, they're not going to put a new roof on because it's leaking. They're going to patch it, fix the area, and you can ask for a home warranty just in case some more shingles get blown off by the wind.
So this is one of my favorite things that I have. As an attorney, I really struggle with brokers and with other attorneys who don't know how to manage their clients, right? As a broker, especially the new brokers who are in, the most important part of the deal is managing your client and managing their expectations, right? So, and it doesn't mean like you put them in a house that they don't want to be in. It just means explaining to them. So I found if I over communicate on the front end, I can anticipate their expectations at the beginning versus afterwards, right? But it also means in terms of managing their expectations within the deal itself, right? So a seller that says, well, I'm selling this as is, yes, you are selling it as is. However, they have a right to cancel the contract and they can walk away. And you could say, fine, let them walk away. We have to go find another seller. So understanding the pros and cons of the transaction, right? And in some cases, I would say helping them make that decision, right? I can't decide for them, but I can say, well, in my opinion, I would do this, this, this if it was my house. Like one thing that I ask my professionals is, if this was your brother, what would you advise your brother to do? Or if this was your sister, what would you advise your sister to do, right? So those are good questions that I like to present. Like, hey, if this was my sister buying this property, this is what I would tell her to do, right?
I have a question before
Please.
we move on. Going back to the pre-approval part, maybe Aaron can,
Aaron.
Yeah, maybe we can answer that. I'm seeing a lot of buyers coming with, instead of pre-approval, pre-qualified. And I wanted to know how much is done from the lender's side to put that paper together. My understanding is not much.
Yeah, I could literally give you a $500,000 pre-qualified.
Exactly. So they come and they think that they have a pre-approval letter, and then when you read, it's pre-qualifying letter, which is totally different.
Yes, and then as a broker, we need to explain to them the difference. That's building the trust. We going back to building the trust.
Right.
This is what a pre-qualified looks like, and these are the steps that they took to get to the pre-approval. And especially with banks, like if you do Chase Bank, Bank of America is good for it, because I've had some clients, I deal with clients who use the banks, and the banks give out pre-qualified letters until you actually find a house. So you can get them to get a pre-approval, but it's a process. They will eventually do it if you push hard enough. They will give you a pre-approval, but the pre-approval is them actually taking the documents to verify that they actually make the income that they need to make, and they actually verifying the data to make the loan to be approved.
Exactly. So what is the pre-qualify? Basically,
They fill out the application.
that's it.
So yeah, so Aaron, what does that look like?
Generally a credit pull, but sometimes not, it's just stated. Hey, I have a
Credit
sudden
and what
quick-
else? That's it?
What's that?
What's other than the credit? It's
And
the-
credit is just, hey, where do you work, how long you been there, you got 2 years.
It's just nothing.
Yes. Word of
So-
mouth.
Word of mouth. But the buyers think they have pre-approval. Like, do you have pre-approval? Yes, we do. And then you check the email and see pre-qualified. It's nothing.
Because they
So-
don't know, that's why they
So what do you
hire us.
need, so Aaron, that's a good segment. So I'm
Come on,
thank you
Aaron,
for the
come on,
question.
cheers.
Yeah.
Yes, it's your thing.
You're hiding back there,
Yes,
but we're
we
gonna bring
want
you up
you
here.
up here.
So on a pre-approval, what do you need for a pre-approval? And we're gonna jump around, so we're gonna
Yeah.
cover this later and early, but so what do you need for pre-approval?
Yeah, pre-approval, more importantly, the credit pull. So I need a full credit report, no soft pulls. I need a full detailed, it's called a tri-merge credit report. We get info from all 3 bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. I need full documentation. So depending on your type of work, tax returns, W-2s, IDs, for my Hispanic community, if they have resident cards, work permits, visas to work here, but you are just fully documented. You have all the documents necessary. Basically, anything that goes into the application, I can prove on paper.
Do you do ITIN loans?
I do work with ITIN buyers as well.
Does everybody know what ITIN is?
So the number of the company.
No, so the, oh,
So, yes, I don't know what my number is, but I'd like to know who qualifies and how does it get generated to the end?
got it. So the first question before that one was, what is the ITIN? So ITIN is the identification number. It's not a social security number, which you get as a resident, a legally documented resident in the country. And ITIN is for those who are undocumented and are looking to establish residency in this country for one reason or another, but the government gives them a number for them to file their tax returns and to also take out loans. So when people there's no sidebar. So when people tell you that, oh, the immigrants are draining the system, no, they're actually paying ITINs and putting taxes and paying the Social Security. And when they're doing that, they're not getting any benefits out of the system. So, yeah, I'm very Republican apparently.
And my second question is, some buyers will tell you, oh, I already done it with Chase, you're suggesting another lender, will that affect my credit? They're always scared that the credit score will go down a few points just by pulling their credit. Is that the thing happening again?
Yeah, generally, if you're pulling your credit all over the place, the one thing that you can do, which a lot of people don't know, is call the credit bureaus and give them a heads up. I'm going to be car shopping. I'm going to be personal loan shopping. I'm going to be mortgage shopping. I'm going to be running my credit at least 3 times within the next month. They will then put a special note on your file to let the bureaus know that this is what you're doing. But generally speaking, maybe like 2 to 3 times in a month, you might get dinged at most 5 points, but credit is in tier levels. So 750 to 700 is tier 1. It's different. I think I have it in my slideshow. But so if you go from a 750 to a 745, you're not really losing much other than a couple points, but you're still kind of in that same tier
Right.
when it comes to that.
So that's
So a couple of pulls is not gonna kill them.
Correct, yeah. And especially if you're going to buy a home, this is when you want to advise your clients, hey, I need you to pull your credit. This is the time to pull credit.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear, did you say let all 3 credit bureaus know or just specific?
I would advise all 3 just to kind of cover your bases. Yeah, I mean, if you want to maybe just do one, maybe they can pass it along, but just play it safe.
So when should you get the pre-approval done? As soon as they find a home, or can you do that before?
oh, no.
Before, way before.
Yeah.
At least within a week or two, because some of them are good for 30 days, some are 60, just depends on who your lender is, how long they're good for. But before you take them out shopping,
Yeah.
you want them to have pre-approval, so you know how much house they can afford. So your pre-approval letter, you're telling me, oh, I want to live in this area and the average house is $550,000, but you only have a pre-approval for $385,000. I'm not going to take you there. That's me wasting time because we're taking you to see something you cannot afford. The pre-approval letter allows me to know how much house we should be shopping for you.
Okay.
That's our basis when we start at.
it also puts the type of program that they would qualify for, which is a good segue to Yvette's question, which is what are their qualifications and requirements for an ITIN loan?
So ITIN loans work very similar to conventional loans, though my ITIN program is what we call non-QM, meaning it doesn't fall into the category of conventional or FHA. So it's very flexible in the way that borrowers can qualify. There is your, of course, pay stubs. A lot of ITIN, not a lot, I should say that. A good portion of ITIN users will be using socials to work. I can still use those W-2s, those taxes, even if they are reporting with a social, though they are applying with an ITIN. I have bank statement only loans, so if we have business who aren't filing taxes, they can show the last 12 months of bank statements to get income. I can do a P&L loan, which, since you brought up the point about draining the system, I currently have an ITIN buyer who's looking to buy a $1.2 million. So it's definitely possible. It's just that the requirements as far as like down payment might change. Interest rates might be a little higher sometimes just because per the banks, they are a little bit higher risk loans, but definitely possible to buy with an ITIN. It does work conventional. So with my bank, if I give you an ITIN buyer, I give you a conventional buyer.
The next slide, please.
I'm gonna ask also kind of simple.
I think it's kind of following Aaron. The camera's following you.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
Oh, me?
Because he has the mic on.
What you do?
No, I took my mic off.
Oh.
Because it was way back there when you were way back.
That's because we have the mic on. Let's turn this mic off. And can we move on to the next slide?
Next slide.
Next slide. It's on. What makes an offer stand out besides price?
Quick close.
Quick close, definitely.
Close the dates, okay.
Can you do a quick close without a pre-approval?
No, that'll be a long close, but now we starting from scratch. See, with the pre-approval, they did the application, now they have to do that. They have to wait, and then they come back and say, oh, you don't qualify to purchase this home. And you're looking like, we did all this work, and you can't even buy this home. Anything else? Yes.
Higher price.
Higher price.
Waive the inspection.
Waive the, oh. You on trend, you on.
As is.
As is can, but you still will do an inspection. I never recommend to my clients to waive an inspection because my relationship with them is based off the advice that I gave them. And they waived the inspection. I had a client, I'm gonna give you an example. So my client bought this house, it was nice and pretty. They had did all the bells and whistles, and it was a 2-unit. And I said, you should get an inspection. He said, no, it's fine. I turned the water on everything. I said, you should get an inspection. No, I said, okay, no problem. And when he moved in, hell broke loose. Because guess what? When they do the rehabs, it looks good, but you don't know what the mechanics are running. What the water, nobody's lived there. No water's ran. Nobody looked at the roof. In the basement, it had a sub pump it didn't have a sub pump down there. So the basement like it was a crawl space, it was backing up. But had he done a home inspection, the home inspector would have went down there and say, hey, in this area, you might need to put a sub pump in because if it rains, it's going to back up water down here. But if I would have told him, you want to get this home, waive the home inspection, and then something happens, you know who he's going to blame? You, the broker. He's not going to think about that he really wanted this home. He's going to, anything that as brokers, we tell our clients to do because we're the professionals.
And even if he doesn't blame you, his best friend, his cousins, third removed, whatever's going to be like, I'm going to tell you, my real estate broker, they should have told you this. And they have all the advice in the world to tell them how you screwed up when you didn't. But they're going to.
And next they would blame the attorney who approved.
Correct. Then we get all the blame. I've had many times, I've actually written an addendum for the client to sign saying, against the advice of counsel, we've advised you to do this, 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 and this, and you have chosen to take a different route against the advice of counsel. Because then when they come back, I'm like, do you remember this document?
So
that they didn't read, they just e-signed?
That part. So a strong offer is pricing. If the home is priced right, you'll offer right. And if you do comparative market analysis, you'll know that it's priced right and talk to your client about the pricing. So in some areas, just because you bid it $20,000 or $30,000 above, they still might not give it to you. It's more about what type of lending. Some lenders, conventional versus FHA. So we're gonna talk about that. I'm gonna let him talk. What is the difference between, I'm gonna let the lender do his part. The difference between conventional and FHA.
The biggest difference is FHA is a government insured program, Department of HUD, whereas conventional, you're more directly dealing with the banks and the investors. FHA has some overlays as far as when it comes to the appraisal. They work very similar. They're both products to buy homes. It's not to say that one's better than the other, to all my listing agents out there. But yeah, the biggest difference are just the your debt to income ratios. You generally can carry a little bit more debt with FHA. FHA allows a little bit less credit when it comes to the credit scores. It's a little bit more lenient. Whereas conventional mortgage insurance, if you put more than 20% down, you avoid it. FHA, you carry it. So it's a few variables, but ultimately both products to buy a home, whether you're first time or for repeat.
So I'm gonna tell you from the broker standpoint, when they present an FHA lending versus a conventional lending with my client who really doesn't want to make any repairs. He wants to sell it as is. FHA has guidelines that are similar, that are the same guidelines as if you were doing a Section 8 tenant. You can't have chip paint. The roof can't be leaking. Certain things, yes.
You can't have mold.
No mold. So there's a difference from the broker standpoint. From the lending, they're looking at numbers. But from us as brokers, they're looking at the condition of the home. So if your client is an FHA client and they want to look at a home that we would consider distressed, a traditional FHA is not going to work for them. They may want to do a 203K FHA. That's a whole nother topic for another session. We're not going to get into that today. And I do those very well. That's what I deal with a lot of. However, that's a stronger deal. I've had people who are in certain areas that they wanted to stay in, but people who had conventional or traditional FHA loan amount was more than theirs. So let's just say the average home in the area is selling for $250, and somebody who has a loan amount of $350 who want to stay below the budget are looking in areas of $250 to $275. They're not looking at their top loan amount, because typically people who have more money look at lower price homes sometimes, right? So there's an area they want to be in and they couldn't get into it. And I always tell my clients, do an extra lender, can they do a 203K loan? Because if it's any chip paint, if it's any broken water lines, if there's no running water, because they have to have running water and gas in the FHA. When they come and do an inspection, they got to be able to turn it on and check and see, unless there's no stove there. But they need the furnace to work, the air conditioning unit to work, like whatever the home is being bought with, those things have to work for FHA. But conventional, you just need to make sure that the ceiling isn't falling in. They'll give you a conventional loan. Like seriously, that will. But FHA, their guidelines are strict when it comes to the conditions of the home. So with a 203K, that owner whose home is beautiful and they just don't want to paint because of all the chip paint, because that's going to cost them an extra $10,000. You can get a streamlined 203K loan and have them put it in there. They can paint when they move in. They can paint it whatever color they like. I tell them you can customize the house to what you like it, but in the neighborhood that you couldn't afford to be in the first place. I had a client who wanted to buy a home, and in this neighborhood, she kept getting outbidded. This was when the pandemic hit, 2021. It was land around the corner for houses. I'm like, we're not even about to look at that because we don't have to be in a bid more. So I ended up finding her a home, though somebody had cut the water line. Now the entire home had been redone. It was gorgeous. And it ended up being a HUD home on top of that. And they cut the water line. I said, well, you are not about to compete with a lot of people, because the average person has an FHA loan is not going to be able to look at this home because there's no running water. The water line has been cut. We put in we did a 203K loan. She got the water line done. HUD came out and had made her do a lead inspection. They gave her another $10,000 to do lead remediation, and they gave her $3,500 towards closing. She ended up getting everything she wanted, added a fence, got a pergola put up, painted the whole house over, because it really didn't need anything else done to it. And it was within her budget by using a 203K FHA loan. So that's a strong offer. If a client can get a home that is not selling in an area where they want to stay, and they're writing up, and a lot of lenders don't know how to do, a lot of brokers don't know how to do 2 or 3 things. So I had to walk the broker through the process on the seller side, because she was like, well, I don't know. For another one I had that needed paint. And I was like, we'll get to the transaction, it'll close. They have the funds. Your client house isn't selling because he won't paint. And the average person needs, you have to paint. I don't care if they can do, you cannot have cracked driveways. It's a lot of things. So how you structure the loan is also based off of your client's financing. That makes it strong. Have margin, earnest money. That's a stronger deal. So the earnest money thing, how that works, it's tricky. You want to talk about the earnest money?
Escalation clause.
Escalation clause is a little tricky because you have to be able to find a way for them to prove that they got a qualified offer, because you may have your client paying for a home more than they actually should pay for it off the escalation clause, and the seller man never got any other offers in. So how do you prove that?
Well, you put a cap on it.
You put a cap on it.
Okay, and you can have to talk with them and see what they can.
Of course,
Are
yes.
they gonna go up 5,000? Are they gonna go up to 10,000? And you put a cap on it, so it's still within reasons, but it shows the seller
That
that
is
you're
eager.
serious,
Yes.
and eager, and want to be there.
Yes, and I've done some of those before,
Yeah.
but I have to make sure you explain to your client what's going on, because guess what? They put an escalation clause in and an appraisal come back. And it appraised less than what, now do they have the funds to cover the difference?
Yes.
So that's something that you have to be mindful of when you're writing an escalation clause, because it may not appraise. And are they willing to be upside down on a home? And if the area doesn't appreciate, who they gonna blame? Again, you, the broker. So that's why you want to be careful when trying to do more things without putting blame back on you as the broker. You want to make sure that you're doing things that make sense in the best interest of your client, but minimizing your risk as the broker. So earnest money, I tell my clients, earnest money is good faith money. It's proven that you are really going to stick to this deal. Typically, for earnest money, most of the time, you can get it back if the financing doesn't go through. Because for appraisal reason, people have a tendency to change jobs in the middle of a transaction. That's a whole nother conversation. We'll talk about them a little later. When they decide they want to buy a new car in the middle of the transaction, different things that they do that will affect the earnest. They'll affect your lending, but you can get your money back if they can't get financing. So the pricing, doing the comparables, the pricing, the earnest money, the contingencies. You don't want someone who has to buy the house. They have to sell a other home in order to buy this home. That's not a strong offer. That's just not. Yes.
Just on based on that scenario, how does earnest money work when it comes to pre-approval that was given to a buyer who's qualified to buy a home, gave earnest money, pretty good amount of earnest money, and in the middle of that transaction, before closing, bought, let's say a BMW, and that affected his credit point, and he was not able to get a decision to close on that house. Can that earnest money be sent back to the buyer?
Most of the time, 90% of the time it does. And if you have a good attorney, he'll get, that's his area. That's what it is. Now we on the attorney road.
So I'm gonna take one step back to the previous question, which is about the escalation clause. You're talking about the escalation clause if it goes too high, and then and then it probably doesn't appraise. So again, having the right attorney who has fucked up enough deals, sorry, I should have said that, who's messed up enough deals, or has had enough issues or seen enough things go wrong, because that's really what experience is, right? Mm-hmm. You've seen something happen, it's gone wrong, and how do you counter and how do you fix it? So what I do on all of our review letters is we insist that the property has to appraise. So even if the price goes beyond and they come back and the appraisal doesn't come in, then we automatically get to either lower the price to the appraised value or the property gets renegotiated without keeping my client on the hook for that higher price unnecessarily because of the appraisal. Now, I've also gone ahead and hired a second appraiser. So I've had investor clients that will get an appraisal from the bank, but then they'll go get a second appraisal and they'll get a fire sale appraisal, where essentially we've actually appraised the property intentionally as low as possible so we can submit that appraisal to the seller to tell the seller that their price is too high to bring the price down. So I used to do a lot of that before the craziness pre-COVID. I used to work a lot in COVID for my investors. So we would save them $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 on the purchase price because the appraisal came in a lot less, right? Because it doesn't matter what appraisal it is, okay? Now, to answer your specific question, which is about the earnest money, so this is where it's very important for the team members to communicate, right? So like if I'm going to deal with Aaron, Aaron's going to talk to me and talk to my team about what's going on with the deal. He is not going to go talk to the seller's attorney, right? Because that's where shit goes sideways. Where I'll have lenders, and God bless them, or I'll have brokers who talk too much, right? So if something goes sideways with a loan, I can trust that Aaron's not going to tell the seller what happened. They're just going to say, I'm going to be like, Aaron, all right, so the guy bought a BMW and a Maserati and blew the whole deal. Great. First, he's going to give us a ride in both vehicles. Second, we're going to issue a letter that the loan did not get approved. And I don't need a reason to establish. I just got it says that the loan didn't qualify, didn't approve for whatever the reason may be. That is sufficient for me to get the earnest money back, right? Now, I've had situations where the seller refuses to turn over the earnest money, right? And so I have my methodology of handling that is, anybody familiar with Teddy Roosevelt?
Yes.
Speak softly, carry a very big stick. So I very calmly record the contract and prevent them from selling the property. And I tie up the property. And I've even done it when my client was mistaken and my client made the mistake and my client blew the deal and they refused to issue the earnest money. I will go after the seller. I have no qualms of going after it. But I'm really nice.
So, that appraisal trick he did, when someone lives in the home and you do an appraisal for like a refi, it comes in lower than if you were selling the home. Don't ask me why, because I did a lot of refis and I'm like, based off our comparative market analysis, the home's appraised for this, and they do some calculation, the appraisal does, that it comes in a little less if you're living in it to refinance it versus if you were actually listed it to sell. So his appraisal will come back based off of that type of appraisal, which will make the price lower. Okay? Because somebody looked at me and gave me this perplexed
That's
look.
called a fire.
We call it a fire sale appraisal. Essentially, it's like if I had to sell the property right now, immediately, as is, crash sale, I'm not using the same appraisal. I've got my own appraisers who are familiar with what I'm trying to do, and they're not going to lie, but appraising is an art. It's like any comparative market analysis. You are looking at the range of properties, and which comps I pick up will determine what the value of the property can impact the value of the property. So that is one way. But in this market of limited inventory, right, and housing shortage, that's not going to work.
Yes.
It's not going to work at all because the seller will be like, I'm out, cancel the deal,
And I'll
list
wait
it tomorrow,
till-
and they'll get a contract. They'll get 10 contracts tomorrow.
Yes.
This was something that happened pre-COVID in 18, 19, 17, 16,
right, after the market
right, when the
crash.
market was.
Yes, rebuilding itself.
The point that you mentioned is very good about the fact that some clients change jobs in the middle of the transaction. I had a client who went and purchased a car from a auction, cash, and took money out of the account and put back money and screwed up the deal because you're not supposed to do all of that in the middle of it.
Well, you can say
So,
that goes back to
that's
him.
good.
Yes, go ahead. You can say that deal.
How does that affect the transaction? They've got $30,000. They got $50,000 in the bank. They go to the auction. They buy a car for 15, take money out of the bank, and then put money back in. What does that do to the transaction?
It typically just triggers large deposit explanation.
Yes.
Yeah. Where did this money come from?
Exactly.
You know, and it all just goes ties back to money laundering.
Yes.
You know, I start with $0. Tomorrow I have 50,000. Where'd you get this? Oh, my cousin gave it to me. Doesn't fly.
And he has to prove. And
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
all of
that, all of that.
See,
Right.
I've actually had those situations where as long as we could just prove, look, I took it out Tuesday and I put it back on Thursday and it's the same amount, you're fine.
Right. Yes.
You know, there's different things. Now, it's I took it out last week and
And
3
4
months
months
later.
later, I put it back. It's a different story. Yes. Next slide. What is the biggest mistakes broker makes in the negotiations.
Over promising?
Over promising, definitely.
Or not including stuff that should be included on the deal.
That part, that, yes.
You said the biggest mistake
Mm-hmm.
when they say, I will make sure we don't pay more than this much. And promise a certain number, and now, when you're negotiating and you can't get it for this much, that's it, the deal is done.
Yes, and a lot of that goes back to not using data, which is comps and information in the market to help you negotiate your price. It's everything, if you start out right, it'll end and close and get to the closing table. We don't focus on solutions. You hear as a problem and then you just, everybody gets scared and nobody steps up. The brokers are the ones that hold the transaction together. It is very imperative that your pulse is on everything that's happening in the transaction, because you're the one who takes the biggest loss. Because we're out hustling, taking people to see properties day in and day out. The seller is losing because every day the house sits on the market. The buyer is losing because they're trying to settle where they're going to live at, and they can't figure it out because you can't find a place. We're the ones that are dealing with every party in the transaction. So it's important that we communicate. We give the accurate information, and it's like he said earlier, over communicate, because your client don't know what they don't know. We're here to educate them, to inform them, to keep them informed, finding solutions to problems versus saying, I had a deal that I was doing and clearly stated that this is an issue prior to doing the inspection. It was a problem. The broker apparently didn't communicate to the seller that there was going to be an issue, and they didn't want to pay for the problem, and it was a drain line issue. But had they communicated and educated their clients, just because the property is being sold as is, doesn't mean the person's going to buy it. It would have helped. The price was, the offer was a good offer because it was priced right, and the offer that was submitted was a good offer because they gave them just what they were asking for. But the inspection period is when things started happening and falling apart, because for some reason, again, go back to people think because it's an as-is deal that people are going to buy headaches, and they're not. You're representing your client, and you need to tell your client what they need to know. And if you're dealing with a broker that is not communicating effectively to you the process of this transaction, you should interview them like you interview everybody else. And that may not be the broker for you if they're not giving you the quality information. Another thing, control your emotions. See, we need to be in more control of our emotions because we're dealing with different people, different personalities. I've had brokers say, I don't like to talk to Linda because he was rude. Girl, listen, him being rude is going to keep us getting us. You won't stop your check from coming. You can ask him to, maybe he could be a little nicer, but if he's not, who cares? Because let him know you can continue to exhibit the behavior that you're exhibiting. But once we close this deal, I have other clients that I will not refer to. But what I need you to do is give me the answer to the question that I asked you so that I can tell the seller what they need to know so we can close this deal. And at the same, so you can't work off of your emotions when you're dealing with other people, because we deal with people for a living. And everybody, that Linda Mayer woke up on that day and had a rough morning. You don't know what's going through his life. Ignore them. Oh, well, they talk crazy. I'm like, whatever. I don't like you either, but we're going to still do this deal. Because I don't have to like you to make money with you. I just have to respect you and what you do in this transaction.
Do you really have to respect them to do the deal?
Yes, you should until the deal close. And then after the deal close, I might tell you a couple of other words. But during the transaction, I'm gonna be as nice as possible because I'm the heartbeat of the transaction, because I speak with all parties. So I have to get my emotions in check so that I can get people to give me the things that I want them to give me.
So some of the new brokers, how many people do you think are involved in a real estate transaction? I would say 20 to 30 people.
Yes, because the back end off.
How many you got on your team? Yeah.
Because I've got 3 on my team, right? Brokers got a couple on their team. You got on each side, you got a buyer attorney and a seller's attorney, and then you got the underwriter, right? And so you've got the lender, you got the underwriter, then you have the lender's closing team. You've got the attorney's closing team. You got each broker's closing team. right? And then you have the back office then we haven't even talked about the title company. Because the title company has their own closers and their own underwriters. You probably have about 20 to 30 people on each transaction that are all trying to make a deal happen, to pull it through. And at the center of that is the real estate broker.
Yes. And I hate those email trains. I tell them all, I can't stand them. Because you start one, and then there's 7 other one over here, and and you have to read every single one of them. Yes.
I'm certified project manager, and this sounds like the project.
Yes, you are. You are a project manager. You definitely are. Because everybody on the transaction, the broker speaks with, from he didn't say it, the inspector.
Oh, you have the inspectors?
And the radon people?
The radon, the lead, if you gotta get a lead inspection. We're talking about survey, the appraiser. He didn't speak about the appraiser. Like,
the appraiser.
the homeowner appraiser. So it's multiple people. So you're worried about what somebody said to you? Not on the transaction, because your emotions will kill the deal.
Yes.
Put your emotions aside, because you're here to represent your client in their best interest. You're doing what's best for them. And when you're working off your emotions, your deal will fall apart. You know, I'm a very direct person, so sometimes I do rub people the wrong way, but they'll be all right, because I get the deals closed. In my 25 years of doing deals, I've only had 3 deals to fall apart because of the buyer, on the buyer's side. And I've sold all of my deals on my seller side, because I'm very meticulous and organized and telling them what they need to do and over communicate. I prefer to give you too much information than not enough. I was telling someone about a transaction where I help people out a lot. So I was at my physical therapist, and she was saying she's looking to buy a home, and she's like, and she came in when they said, I'm about to buy a car. I said, no, you're not. She's not even my, she wasn't even my client. I said, I don't know if your broker told you this, and I'm gonna tell all of you all as brokers, especially new ones. It is imperative that you inform your clients that if they're on the buyer side, don't do anything that requires their social security number to be touched, because the whole deal will fall apart. You cannot go get your son a new cell phone. You cannot go co-sign for your mama a new furniture set. You can't even go buy a furniture set. I tell my clients, you do not own a home until you see them slide our property management check across the table. You are in the contract negotiation stages. We still haven't done attorney review. Don't do anything to your credit. And they was like, but I really need a car. I said, listen, when the bank gave you your pre-approval, it was based off the current debt that you have. So when you go add new debt to that amount, that reduces the amount of home that you can buy. Don't do it. But you need to make that clear to your clients so they understand that. Because if you don't, you will have done all of that work and got to the closing table. And then I have clients, they were like, oh, I'm looking for a new job. Okay, so is that job in the same industry that you're already in? Because people have a tendency to go get a new job. You're a doctor and you're gonna go become an architect? No. Not today. Today you're gonna stay a doctor until we close this deal.
So Aaron, how do you handle a situation if someone's like they're moving or they're transitioning from position to position? You're changing companies, income is the same, or there's a bump in income, or they get laid off, right? And then they pick up a job right after. How do you navigate that?
Yeah, the biggest part is just looking at what the stability of that income is going to be. So, kind of the example that you did give.
The screen.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Stealing spotlight here. So, kind of the example that Tiffany gave as far as like, I'm going to go be I'm a doctor now. I'm going to go be an architect. And sometimes it's okay, because if you're a salary doctor and you're going to go be a salary architect, you're fine. As long as you're making the same that we qualified you or more. Less is where we have to now start crunching numbers, right? With your current debt, can we still afford you to have 3 cars, 2 homes, whatever it is you have? It's when you go from, let's say, a W-2 employee to a 1099. Now you don't have stability, because is your business going to prosper? Are you going to crash and burn, right? Hope not. It's when you go from, getting a paycheck to paycheck to now you're getting cash for, because I'm selling blankets or whatever it is. So, again, don't recommend it. This is where you guys are the experts. You're going to tell your clients, this is what we need to do to get you closed. But along the way, we know not everybody listens, right? Some people like to do what they like to do. But this is where your lender, I'm going to talk about this in my part, but you got to trust your lender to get it done, right? Either, hey, I can, let's do it. Or you know what, we can't, we gotta kill this now, there's just absolutely no way. But it's on a client by client basis. I can generally speak to it. Sometimes you're okay, sometimes you're not. It just depends on where you are in the transaction.
Next slide. But that's why it's important to communicate, building that level of trust. If you build a level of trust, they'll listen to you because you're letting them know, like, hey, how bad do you want this home? But knowing what their motives are, why they're buying it, that also helps you to ensure that they don't do things to jeopardize that purchase of the home or property they're trying to buy. And we talked about this deal start falling apart basically at the beginning, and it says attorney review and inspection period. They'll fall apart if you're not communicating. Weak offers, lack of preparation, and something that I find very interesting in this real estate business now that we have so much technology, especially on the sales side. Lock boxes are beautiful. Typically, my properties can sell within 30 to 90 days because I actually do showings. If it's being open house, how are you selling real estate and you're not going to the transactions and there with your client to walk them through the transaction there to sell their home? I've had offers to be written up right at the open house with the broker there. You're sending your clients. Now that we have this new real estate law that people have to represent themselves, people actually doing real estate. But before, they would send their clients and expect a commission check, and they haven't done anything for it. Your broker should be there to carry you along the way. It is not the responsibility of the other party's broker to answer questions and do your due diligence as a broker for your client. And a lot of deals I have saved because I've been coaching and communicating with the other side party about what they should be doing for their clients. If you're working for a brokerage that does not educate you on how to do a transaction all the way from start to finish, you should go to another brokerage. It is not the broker that's working with you responsibility to tell you how to do a transaction. That is the broker that you're paying your commission split to. For our seasoned brokers, you know what to do. For the newbies, going to some places that don't give enough education, it will not help you along the way. You need to be a place that'll teach you the things that you need to know, because that's the purpose of you paying your commission splits. So they tell you information, give you information. I've had brokers to call me and I said, I'm not your designated managing broker. You need to call and ask, but they're not answering my question. I said, then you're at the wrong brokerage. Because that's not my responsibility on this deal to tell you how to do the deals. Brokers not going to the closing table with their clients and stuff falling apart at the table. But if you were there, you could have held the transaction together. They're calling you, you're not answering because you're busy doing who knows what. It's fine. Some of us had I had a part-time job for a long time before I became full-time as a broker. When I ran my brokerage, I've always had my own brokerage, but I did it part-time and worked a full-time job. But when I started doing it full-time, but I've always, even when I was working part-time, I always was there for my clients at the closing table. And I had all the documents that we discussed, because for some apparent reason, documents just get ate up when they send it to the loan officer. They ask for the same thing 10 times.
Not us.
I tell my clients, put it in your phone, now that we have phones, or put it on the file on your computer at work. So when they call and ask you for the document that you just sent 3 days ago, you can send it to the next person that called and asked for the document. I don't know if the dog ate it when they went home or what, but it's very important that we do our due diligence in helping our clients to get to the finish line.
Next slide. We're almost done.
Next slide. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Thank you. Keeping the deal moving, tracking the deal. So, attorney review period, and most of us have standard 8.0 contracts the way we use it. Attorney review period is 5 business days, inspection is 10 days. I tell my clients in the beginning what the expectations are. The earnest money, you can write in the date on the contract or when they're gonna give it. The date that you put on the contract, you said 3 days you're gonna give earnest money, you need to have them earnest money in 3 days, because it can, the seller can back out the deal because you did not meet the earnest money deadline. Also, earnest money.
For the ones who are taking the exam, right, you're going to talk about what it makes a contract, right? So I don't know if you do this in the real estate transaction, but the offer and acceptance and consideration. You guys go over that in the, right? So the offer is you made the offer, you submitted the contract. Then the acceptance is when the seller accepted it. The earnest money is the consideration. No earnest money, no contract. No earnest money, no deal, right? So the earnest money ties the deal because that is the detriment to the buyer in order to solidify the contract.
I think it's on the wrong slide.
I moved.
I'm-
Go. Nope, back the other way. You went to the end. Back. That right there.
So that is important. So I ask my clients, how much earnest money do you want to put down? I let them determine it. It's not for me to determine. There's no set amount. They can get $1 for consideration if the seller is willing to take the $1. And then I ask them, are you going to be able to get the $1 to them in 2 days, 3 days? How many days do you need? Because you may be working. You may work late. The bank closed by the time you get off. You need to do it on a Saturday. You wrote the contract on a Monday. So then give them until 7 days to get the earnest money if they can't get to the bank before the bank closed to get the certified check. Now they have a lot of technology. You can do it online and you can upload it and transfer it, sell it. They got all kind of ways to do it now. But you need to make sure your clients have those funds available when you're writing the contract because they have to present the earnest money. You need to meet your deadline dates for the attorney review period. The mortgage contingency. I'll be on my lender. Now, wait a minute. You said you was gonna have this mortgage contingency done on this date, and we're approaching. You as the broker need to be on top of that at the date that they set, so you can be talking to the lender. Are we gonna have this on that date? Because believe it or not, they missed it. So the attorney needs to write an extension. But we, the broker, need to stay on top of it because he got a lot of clients. He has a lot of clients. All of us have clients, but we're the only ones that get paid at the closing table.
Oh, we get paid too.
Well, you do. You get paid at the closing table.
I want to make sure we're getting paid.
Right. But we do all the upfront work before they even get to them. That we have put in hours with our clients, and we sometimes don't see those funds because we never make it to the closing table. And we have to go right back and put in more hours when we've been doing our due diligence like we were supposed to. We would close this deal and be moving on to the next
So
client.
pro tip, what do you do if you blow the mortgage contingency date? Anybody know?
Oh.
What do you do if the mortgage contingency date got blown? And so now the earnest money is shot. And we were waiting for the letter to come through, but we no longer have a mortgage contingency. And the seller says no. What do you do?
Oh.
You
Take it to court.
can. There's a much easier way. Well, yeah, obviously, if I'm your attorney, it's already taken care of. I'm presuming you made the bad choice of picking a different attorney. But what we do is we'll use the lender to tell us that in order for them to move forward, they need the contingency extended for the lender to approve it, right? And so what happens is the seller wants to sell, they're expecting to sell, but I can't get it clear to close until the lender gets this condition met. So suddenly, the mortgage contingency opens up because it's no longer the borrower who's delaying, it's the lender trying to get to the closing. So this is where using each of the different parties and using the mindset of the people that you're working with in order to make the deal happen. Because the seller's like, I'm not gonna give another extension. Look, I can't get you a clear to close, bro, to close unless they want to extend it. So.
Automatically do that because they-
No, they don't
They
automatically do
want to
it.
keep the deal.
No,
together.
no.
They want to get paid too.
No.
Yes, but what happens is for them, they don't care about the mortgage contingency extension. So for them, they're like, well, we're gonna close it anyways. We don't care if it's extended.
Right.
On my side, I know they're not Aaron, but whenever they use a different, lender. Yeah. That one is lent, but sometimes I'll have lenders who will outright just lie to me about where they're at in the transaction. And I'm like, listen, for me, this is what I tell all my clients. As long as you tell me after you killed the person, it's okay. You can tell me anything you want. If you tell me beforehand, I have to report it. So kill them first and then tell me. Right?
Right.
That's where attorney-client privilege comes in. I just need to know the truth because if we know the truth, then I can figure out how to present it and deal with the other side and how to manage it, right? So if the lender can't close, that's okay. Now, my job is before the lender goes and tells everybody that we can't close, get it tell us, which is why I like dealing with certain lenders, such as Aaron, is because he'll tell me ahead of time, we've got a problem.
Tell the buyer's attorney.
Do
Yes.
not tell
The
the
seller
buyer's
attorney,
attorney.
don't tell the seller attorney anything you represent the buyer. Never. I don't even talk to the seller's attorney. I talk to the seller's broker, and I'm very clear on the wording in which I tell them things. Your communication to them is important, is how you say it. What you say is just how you say it. You can say something and make it sound really good, and they believe you, and you, because I tell them, well, why they're like, what's going on? I don't know. I spoke with the loan officer. He said he's waiting on some documentation. I spoke with my buyer. He's gotten in the documentation, but you know, this is another thing about your clients being on top of their stuff too. They have a pile of documents that they're underwriting and proving. They ask your client for something on Tuesday. It takes your client until Friday to get it. They're at the bottom of the pile again. They're recycling their numbers. They waiting on. So I tell my clients, when they ask you for it, send it back that day before closing business, so that they don't put you at the bottom of the pile and delay the process, because that's communicating to your client and explaining to them how that works. You're not the only person they're financing. So they have a pile of papers that they're going through and shuffling through with clients. You just go to the bottom of the pile and they work with a person that has the information ready for them. But that again goes back to communicating with your partner about how the transaction works. So my job is to represent whatever party I'm representing. If I'm on the buyer side and the seller side, I had a seller needed to get some documents in, and they was like, "Oh, we got it," and they didn't. And the deal the deal really fell apart. It was one of my transactions. I really was like, we can buy it if they don't sell it to me. I don't care. Makes me no difference because I can spend my money with somebody else. It took us forever to close the deal, but we eventually closed. And they were like, well, and I happen to know the people personally, so that wouldn't help the situation either. It was a sticky deal, but no worries. They told me that I should talk to their broker, and so I talked to their broker. But apparently their broker didn't communicate. But then I finally picked up the phone and they told me they was gonna hold my earnest money, and everybody acted like it was crazy. What you're not gonna do is keep my money. And I said, let me call the seller, because they wanted to hold the earnest money if the deal doesn't close by the time the lender said that it should close. Well, I'm not the lender. I don't know why they're taking so long to do the transaction. So you're not keeping my earnest money if if I don't close a deal based on finance. I don't care what you're saying. So I ended up calling, and they were like, well, we thought that you would have called us if you were having a problem. I said, well, you clearly told me to talk to your broker. This is a broker, you want to stay out of it. So I had no reason to talk with you because I assumed that your broker was communicating this information to you. But it's okay. I'm here to fix the problem so we can get to the finish line. And that's what you need to do for your clients. Find out what's going on and speak to the people to tell them the information that they needed to know. Because it was nothing due to me. It was whatever the lender was doing. Whole other story. But let's move on because we're short on time. Next slide. This is my favorite slide here. What makes Illinois unique to other in real estate transactions compared to other states? Attorneys, yes. Illinois is different because in other states, they go from the mortgage company, from the broker to the title. There's no attorneys. And I like having attorneys. I like them to do I'm not an attorney. I could have been one, but I'm not one. And I don't want to negotiate the contract that I had to explain to the client, or they don't want to get back the earnest money. I prefer them to do what they do, litigate and argue and review contracts. And a lot of states, they don't have attorneys. So what happens if you give some incorrect information about the law? You're responsible. I wonder how much they get on insurance. They get on insurance probably high.
All malpractice insurance?
Yeah, no, I'm talking about for the ones in the brokers in other states. Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. You're buying it, and most majority of people, this is the most expensive thing they're ever going to buy in their entire life, right? And so, not having an attorney, or my favorite is, you're like, well, can you do it for $100, right? And I'm like, so typically we charge between $650 to $750, just the attorney's fee, right? And you'll see there's a flyer about getting $1,000 back. We'll talk about that. But essentially, I'm looking at you. I'm like, would you go to Walmart and buy a bulletproof vest?
No, I wouldn't.
right? Like if I'm putting a bulletproof vest on my child, I am not putting a bulletproof vest that I bought from Dollar General for $1.
Right.
And essentially what you're doing is having an attorney. I'm not saying the attorneys who charge very little are any worse or better, but I mean, we have built a team in order to do things the right way, right? So, yeah, I don't know why people would not use an attorney for a transaction.
Property taxes. Do you all know that Illinois is one of the states that has the most highest property taxes? But our prices are very moderate compared to other metropolitan cities, but we have the highest property taxes. And the reason our taxes in Illinois are high, period, because we're one of the only few states that every government agency, state agency is a union. Where there's unions, there's higher wages. We're a government agency that has a union that's paying higher wages. Where do they get the money from? The tax dollars. So I'm for unions, believe it or not. I like unions where they're needed. If the employers paid fair wages, people wouldn't have had to create a union. But if you're gonna pay people the way that you're supposed to pay them, then you won't need a union. But our government agency are unions. So our tax dollars, the school district, it funds our school districts. We get a lot of money from our tax dollars, and it affects our real estate pricing. We require a lot of disclosures here. The real disclosure, radon, lead, those disclosures are very important to help the consumer know what they're buying. So those are some of the things that makes us different. That's it. I'm done. Good job. I go sit down. Okay.
As you hit the next set of slides, you'll hit Aaron's presentation, becoming a homeowner.
Keep going.
We can start there. First of all, I just want to say that this is every lender's dream, standing in front of a room full of realtors.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to talk about how great I am all the time. So
I'm his hype man.
Right. Thank you. Guys, very, very simple. I want to just preface this. I hope today you choose me as your loan officer, but the most important part when it comes to lending, I know Tiffany can attest to this. I know I have some experienced realtors in here, but it's creating that relationship with your lender. This is the person who essentially, I think Tiffany mentioned it too, is holding your check in their hands, right? They're the ones dealing with the appraisals, the income, all of these things that, sure, I would have definitely advised as agents to kind of pick up on some of the things, work history, right? You need some money, what down payment assistance programs are available, but your lender should be that go-to person. Hey, what about this scenario? Hey, they only have $1,000. Hey, my appraisal, I have a listing, even if they're not involved. If you're a listing agent at some point, your lender can give you that insight as to this is what's going to happen when you go to sell the home. All right. So very, very brief. When it comes to purchasing, Tiffany touched on this in the beginning as well. Building that report. Oh, am I supposed to be on camera?
It's following me. Probably because I was doing most of the talking, so I
I
gotta
stand right
recognize you. I
next to
sit
you
right
the
next to
whole
you.
time. But when it comes to becoming a homeowner, why purchase? I mean, we are going to know as experts, what are the reasons of renting versus purchasing, right? When you go to meet these clients, they're going to come to you. You guys need to be fountains of information for people. You shouldn't make people feel like, well, as soon as I ask a question, now they're going to give me an application to sign. Now they're going to start, following up every other week, which, don't get me wrong, we should as professionals, but you usually just want to give upfront information. And of course, your clients are the ones that make the decision. We are advisors, we are experts. Why purchase? Of course, appreciation. As we know, you buy a home today, maybe we can look at your parents' homes. They bought it for $100,000, 15, 30 years later, now we're looking at $200,000, $300,000. Things such as like equity savings. You have kids, you want to leave them something for the future. There's various reasons. Ultimately, why are you buying? Why are you making this move? You already own a home. Why do you want to buy another home? You're buying your first home. Why? Get that rapport built with your client, because it's not just transaction. It's not just, hey, you want to buy, here's my pre-approval, close you, never talk to you again. It's about building that relationship. This is where people, agents sometimes fail to see the positive in keeping in touch, whether it's just a small Christmas card, whether it's just a phone call 30 days after your closing. These people are going to talk about you. They're gonna talk about you to their friends or family. They're gonna talk to you, to anybody, once you give that great experience. I unfortunately have had situations where we didn't have the smoothest of transactions. But what did? We kept it positive. Hey, you know what? Yes, you bought that BMW, but here's the solution. Hey, you know what? Yes, you decided to quit your job, but here's the solution. We're solution people. We're not here to speak negatively. We're not here to, oh my God, why did you do that? You shouldn't have done that. We are here to give them information. I rent currently. I'm looking for a rental. I know a lot of agents out there want to flip renters into buyers. Why do I want to buy versus why do I want to rent? Now, please nobody come up and strangle me. Sometimes it is okay to rent, right? Not every buyer, potential client is going to turn into a buyer. Some people don't want to live in the same place for the next 15, 30 years. Some people don't care about building equity, right? So maybe renting is fine for them. But of course here it's in the red. You know, we're here to buy, right? We want buyers, but this, if you guys want to take a picture of it, it just kind of gives you some information. Key points that you can touch on when it comes to the clients. Hey, should I rent? Should I buy? All right, well, let me ask you this. Do you want to be, living in the same place for the next 5, 10, 15, 30 years? Do you care about equity? Do you know what equity is? No, I don't know what equity is. Well, let me explain to you what equity is. All right, so this is just kind of some graphics here. If you want to go to the next one. Credits. Credit. I will not talk about credit like I usually do because we'll be here till 10 o'clock. If you want to take a picture of this, credit is very important. Why? Credit will determine what kind of loan programs you qualify for. Credit will determine what down payment assistance, if you even get approved. Right now, there is various ways to fix credit. There's a lot that goes into your credit. One of the things that I want to let you guys know as agents is you guys are probably going to be the ones that get all the questions. Hey, I have a car. Hey, I make $15 an hour. Hey, I live here. This is where your lender comes in. This is where your trusted relationship build-based lender will say, hey, you know what? Here's the general information, but if you want to know anything specifically tailored to you, these are the steps that we need to take. We need to check your credit. Why is it important? I know we have some new ones here, but who has had a client that wants to buy a house but refuses to pull their credit? Has anybody had that situation out there?
Right. People want their insurance and won't have their credit pulled.
You guys will be the advisors to this. Look, you want to buy a house. I want to let you know whether you're going to get approved or not. This is what the lenders are looking for. It's your credit, it's your income, and it's your assets. CIA. It's a nice little 3-letter there. So credit, income, assets, credit, of course, what's your credit score? How much debt do you carry? Did you finance 3 cars? Did you do the one for your mom, for your cousin, for your aunts? Now you have 4 or 5 different cars. You make $20 an hour, probably not going to get approved. Right? Take care of your credit, stop co-signing. Oh, you can go to the next one. The home buying process, Tiffany kind of touched on this one. First, getting pre-approved. I think, Nancy, you had asked this, when is a good time? The good time is when you feel that you want to buy a home. I've had clients that tell me, I don't want to buy for another year. That's fine. Let's go ahead and take a look at where you're at now. If you're ready now, you just need to make sure that your credit stays the same, your debt stays the same, your job stays the same. Yes.
How long is the credit report good for?
So generally speaking, credit reports, I don't know other banks, mine are good for 4 months. So nothing really ever expires. It's just that we need to have things updated before you make that offer out. If I pre-approved you in January, you want to put, you wait till November and you want to put in an offer, I just need to make sure that the way that I pre-approved you in January is the same way that you are in December. That's just that. Making the same, credit's the same, that's the same. But yeah, generally speaking, that's the only thing that really expires is your credit report and updated documents. Bank always wants to see 30 days pay stubs, bank statements recently, depending on the years, your taxes, your W-2s, things like that. My mortgage programs, I am very much like most banks. We all generally offer the same programs. It's just, of course, I'm going to go back to this. It's that relationship that you build with your lender because they need to be knowledgeable and they need to be problem solvers for you guys, right? I've had clients that came to me and, hey, they rejected me because I don't file taxes. Well, I don't know if you guys can see that, but down on the bottom, non-QM products. I have bank statement loans. I have DSCR loans. Anybody know what DSCR loan is?
Yes.
Tiffany knows. Anybody else? DSCR loans, I don't need to know about your income. I'll probably ask about it, right? But I don't need pay stubs. I don't need tax returns. I solely go and qualify you based on what you can rent the property out for. And as long as the rent covers your mortgage payment, you're good. These programs typically do require heavier down payments, 15, 20% down, 25% down. There are no assistance programs with these. These are usually investor type programs that your general first-time buyers probably aren't going to want.
What is the ratio?
I'm sorry?
What is the ratio?
What is my ratio? I can do up to 1, but I mean, I've been doing one currently at 0.75. And what that means is what is the market rent divided by what is my monthly payment? Yes.
I was just gonna ask, can an older person like that is receiving Social Security or like a pension, can they normally qualify?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can use just to kind of cover that question. If you have child support, you can qualify with your child support, alimony. If you receive alimony, Social Security, pension funds. Yeah, annuities. Sometimes people have $2-3 million saved up in an annuity, and they can get regular withdrawals. We can qualify that way as well. But again, it goes back to the lender aspect of it. Your lender needs to be knowledgeable in various ways that can qualify your clients. If they're just well-versed in FHA and conventional, you're probably going to lose a lot of clientele. Why? Because not everybody falls into the conventional FHA. VA, my military vets, there's also programs 0% down, no mortgage insurance, even if they're first-time buyers. My jumbo loans, these are the loans that are getting into the $800s, $900s, $1 million loans. Hopefully everybody here is going to close $1 million deal or more at some point. But there are products out there for that. USDA, we're looking at more rural areas. Same thing, no down payment, no mortgage insurance. Tiffany touched on this as well. Renovation loans. Sometimes when there's homes and renovation loans aren't necessarily for rundown homes. Renovation loans can also be for, hey, I love this home. I just want to update the kitchen, the bathroom, the garage. We will finance any repairs that you want to do or additions.
So how does that work on the 203K loan? So like you have a situation where they want to do the sewer work, we have to make certain types of repairs.
Yeah.
Does that fall under 203K?
Yeah. So you essentially just need to find they do require you to be licensed, bonded, insured through the state, but you're basically just financing the repairs on top of your loan.
So you're taking a 3.5% loan, a 3.5% down payment for your base loan for the acquisition.
Correct.
And then they're financing 100% of the construction.
Correct. Yes. So my bathroom's upgrade is $50,000, house costs $350. You're getting a $400,000, loan/purchase price.
And it's based on the post rehab value. Is that what happens?
Correct. Correct. Yeah. It needs to appreciate by a certain percentage. Don't know that number off the top of my head. Forgive me, but when you guys call me to help your client, I will know. I promise.
And you have to be able to qualify for the amount that you.
Correct. Yes. It's all about qualification.
Yes.
Lastly, down payment assistance programs. IDA, right now, the state of Illinois, I don't know if you guys have heard through social media, is giving up to $15,000 in down payment assistance. There are various programs. Sometimes they're through the county, sometimes they're through the state, sometimes it's through the own bank that you're working with. Some banks might offer a $5,000 forgivable grant. I might not have it. Point your clients in the right direction. As much as I would love to help each and every single one of your clients, sometimes there are products that I don't have, I cannot match, I cannot offer. Always kind of keep 1 or 2 in your pocket. This upcoming kind of. All right. Documents needed. I know I get this question a lot. What do I need to buy a house? It just depends on what your client's income is. First one there, if they're W-2, you get paychecks every week. Generally speaking, I just need your last 2 years W-2s. I need your 30 days pay stubs. And I don't require them anymore, but tax returns if you want to turn them in as well. But generally, I can get away with W-2s and pay stubs. Simple, get you an idea what you qualify for. If you're self-employed and you want to go the conventional FHA route, I will need the last 2 years of your tax returns. And I will need the last 2 years of either your business, your S corps, your partnerships, however it is that you file. Question, how many months do you need to prove work history when it comes to qualifying a client?
How many months do you need to work this year?
What's that?
2 years. You
2
said
years?
months though, right?
Or months, or
Oh, you
months,
threw me off of that.
24 months,
Yeah,
yes.
2 years.
Yes, this is something very important. I've had realtors that send me leads And when I ask, hey, where do you work? They say, I don't. Oh, okay.
Okay.
So we're going DSCR then, right? You got 20% down? No, I was actually looking for assistance. So some of the key things that you as agents just need to know. Is your client currently working? Yes. We're off to a good start. Have you worked over the last 24 months? I don't need you to be at the same job. You could have worked at Target for 25 years. You quit, you go work at Amazon, you got a week, you can still qualify. Why? Because you have that 24-month work history. You're still a W-2 employee. Now, if I was working at Target for 25 years and I decide to open up my business, which I'm going to be filing 1099, I'm going to be getting paid cash, no more pay stubs, can I qualify right away?
No.
No? Anybody else?
I would say yes.
Generally speaking, no, you cannot qualify anymore because if you are trying to go down payment assistance, if you're trying to go FHA, if you're trying to go conventional, you can't. I do have programs, remember DSCR, I don't even need to know about your income. So there are still ways to qualify, but again, this is where your lender comes in. You need to be knowledgeable. Can you or can you not qualify?
But that's just right, they can't live in it as a personal property.
DSCR, correct, it's only for
Right.
investment, yes. Now, there are some things, this is what I'm gonna get into with the clients. You guys generally don't need to talk about this stuff because these are kind of sensitive topics. When there's divorces, when there's alimony being paid, I heard pensions. There are other documents that I need, such as divorce decrees. If you pay child support, I need the court orders if it's court ordered. A lot of people ask me why. Why do you need that? It's my personal life. You don't need to know about that stuff. The bank is just wanting to make sure that what I'm qualifying you on is what you currently owe, right? If you buy a car, it's on your credit. If you don't pay your child support, they can put on your credit, but generally speaking, child support doesn't go on your credit. Child support gets paid through either Zelles. Some people that don't like to pay child support will be on their pay stub, so I'll catch it right away. But just be very wary that you might have some clients come to you, hey, the lender's asking me for an arm and a leg. Why? You guys are my backups to let them know, hey, the reason that the lender is asking you for this is to get you approved. They don't care that you got divorced. They don't care that you paid child support. We're wishing well on you guys, but because of these situations that you're in, this is why we need this documentation. I'm not asking for your pay stubs because I just want to know what you made. It's because I need this information to get you a loan.
And so what is it, when you're asking for that information, the idea is the lender's underwriting to figure out whether you can actually just, you make the payments.
Yes.
So I always tell my client, would you loan somebody $300,000 and know nothing about them? That's just a simple common sense question. They need to know as much as they need to know a good faith that you'll be able to pay them back their money. So you won't even loan nobody $1,000 if you know them personally. So why do you think this institution should give you their money without investigating who you are as an individual? That's their way of knowing that you are actually good for this money that they're lending to you for this home that you want to purchase. And when I say it like that, you ain't got a point there. Okay, let me go send these people that stuff. Thank you very much.
Let me go to the next one.
All right, do's and don'ts. I actually have some materials here. You guys want to just kind of pass them around. As neighborhood loans, the CEOs very much preach that we need to go above and beyond for our agents. It's not just, our bread and butter, of course, is loans. The slideshows that we have here, and these are just generic ideas. Oh, sorry. This is just kind of giving you guys an idea of what we do here. So our marketing team, we have an in-house marketing team. They actually made this PowerPoint. I am not this creative when it comes to this stuff. I just do loans. This stuff is something that you do want to make sure that you are letting your clients know. These are the things that you do want to do if you want to buy a house, right? You want to, you don't want to change jobs. You want to get pre-approved. You want to work with professionals. You want to know about your credit score. This is just basically the blueprint to starting, to get pre-approved. And then if we go to the next one, this will be what you don't want to do when it comes to buying a
Special
house.
touch to it, so.
So you don't want to purchase a car, you don't want to waste money, you don't want to quit your job, you don't want to start highline debt. So this is just information that we can give to you guys as agents to just post and keep clients informed. Again, you guys want to be a fountain of information. If you are posting on your Facebook, on your Instagram, on your TikTok, don't buy a car before you buy a house. Hopefully, generally people listen to you. But this is just the type of advice that you are giving to your clients if they want to buy a house. If you want to get approved for a house, right? If you want to get into that first home, things like this. The material that you guys have in front of you, I have a full service marketing team here. Full disclosure, if you guys want marketing, it does have to be co-branded, just for compliance issues. Otherwise, I can turn it into a Staples and I can give you guys 25 cents per color copy. But otherwise, just kind of check out the material there. If you guys ever have any ideas, marketing is also one of our strong points because as you guys know, you're not secret agents, you're real estate agents. All right, go to the next one there. All right, so again, guys, I can talk loans all day. I love it. I sleep and I dream about loans. It's in my blood, right? I mean, my parents raised me to be a loan officer. It's a joke, by the way. But again, the biggest thing that I want to stress, whether you're experienced, whether you're new, you're getting out there. I hope that you don't, but interview your lenders, right? Go on ChatGPT, write up a scenario, and then when you're talking to them, hey, I have this buyer, they want to buy an investment property, but they don't have a job. Can they buy? You kind of already know the answer, and they're like, oh, no, they can't. Maybe not the lender for you, right? Maybe they're not informed, maybe they don't know what's going on. But just talk to your lenders, trust your lenders, create relationships with your lenders. Your lenders are kind of like your clients in a way. You're gonna bring them business. They're gonna help you out. Hopefully they reciprocate, bring you business as well. But your lender is gonna be that key and needs to be kind of that secret weapon for you guys, right? Because you guys have a full plate as it is. You got offers to write, you got homes to show, you got things to do. You can't be worried about, oh, did they buy a car? Oh, did they quit their job? Oh, did they get their credit up where it needs to be? Your lender should be the one that takes a big load off of it. Now, I do have some agents that like to be lenders. I have some agents that say, hey, here's this client, they have a 750 credit score, they got 10,000 in the bank. I love it, right? You're doing half of my job for me. Shout out to you guys. But if you don't, guys, I give each one of you my card. There's a lot of information. I know you guys are gonna have questions as agents every day. You're gonna run into people, hey, I have a cousin who started their business, blah, blah, blah. Aaron, here's the scenario. Obviously, I'm always gonna generally speak. I can't tell you, yeah, they're gonna get approved, bring them in. But there's always gonna be a question. Just kind of go some few here. Can I back out of my contract? Tiffany, I'm not gonna get into this because, this is a realtor slash attorney, but generally speaking, yes, you can. What if my house appraises for less than the purchase price? We negotiate, right? We're gonna talk to the seller. We're gonna let them know, hey, you're selling it for $250. It came back at $240. We're gonna have some discussions. We can either back out. You guys give it to us. There's options. Are there any first-time homebuyer grants? Now, this is something that I want to touch on. Being a first-time homebuyer has benefits, but it doesn't mean that you can go buy a car, have bad credit, have no money, and because you're a first-time buyer, oh, I could buy a house. It doesn't work like that. Being a first-time buyer means lower down payments, help on your mortgage insurance. There are a lot of programs out there. Actually, this is a great question. If I am a repeat buyer, can I still get assistance?
Yes. Yes.
I asked that this morning.
All right. Is it okay to buy a fixer upper? Yes. These are the questions though that you're going to want to run through with your clients. Why do you want to look at cheap houses? You're a first-time buyer. Do you really want to start putting in tens of thousands of dollars into a home? Yes. No. These are the questions that you want to have. Again, guys, it's not just, hey, I want to buy a house. Okay, here's the lender. Talk to him. You're approved. You're not approved. Let's go look at houses. We'll close you. It's time to go. It's creating that rapport. A lot of my referrals come from past clients. Hey, you helped out Juan. He spoke great wonders about you. That's where you guys want to be at. You want to be in that pool of people that are getting recommended by word of mouth, and not just, oh, I need a lender, let me go pick one out of a hat. I need a real estate agent, let me go pick one out of a hat. It's staying in front of your clients, keeping them informed, and just overall, of course, doing a great job, because I know you guys are going to shine. Questions?
Thank you. One of the things I do want to say is there are tens of thousands of real estate transactions happening on a regular basis. We all know this, right? There's like a couple 100,000 real estate brokers. There's a shit ton of real estate attorneys. What I've found and what I look for in a professional, and one thing that's important, is not that whether they can do the deal, it's when shit goes sideways, can you do the deal? How do you manage the problem? How do you manage the situation when things go bad? And the attorney or the real estate broker or the lender that you have, can they solve the issue? Like, we've got a, this is not yours, but if you're buying a brand new construction, which I strongly advise against. That's the worst freaking thing to buy, is brand new construction. Just the contract's so horrible, the negotiation is terrible, but they're dealing with a lender and someone filed a fraudulent tax return on their taxes. So now he's trying to get the IRS to untangle. So how do you untangle that situation? How do you figure out how to get through that? So having a strong lender that can go, oh, you know what, we recognize that is important. So thank you all for coming. I do want to throw one few things. I did leave a flyer for you guys on your table to look at. One of the programs that we offer, we work with title companies. So it's a little bit off-put, like in terms of it's not typical. However, in Illinois, a buyer can actually choose their own title company. And you're like, well, what? That can happen. Well, if you look at the documents that your client is signing at the closing table, one of them is the Closing Disclosure Act, the Business Disclosure Act, which essentially says that the seller's attorney, and it has like the title fees on there, and it says that the seller's attorney collected a certain amount of money from the title company. And in the exact same document, it says that your client had a right to pick their own title company, but they waived it, and they're signing that document waiving it. Now, I read this, and I'm like, wait, what? And so what we do now, and one of the things that we do, and we've done hundreds of these transactions, we've given out hundreds of thousands of dollars to our clients. We'll actually, the buyer is paying between $3,000 to $3,500 to $5,000 in title fees. That's just the buyer's expense that they're paying no matter what. That money goes to the seller's side, goes to the seller's title company and the seller's attorney. As a buyer, the buyer gets to choose who they want as a title company. So right at the gate, we pick the title company on behalf of the buyer as the buyer's attorney. That fees shift from the seller side to the buyer side. Nothing changes the amount that they're paying. But because of that, my office now makes more money because we become the title agent. And so we'll make an extra $2,000 in the deal, and from that, we cut a check at the closing table for $1,000 back to the buyer. So when the buyer's done with the whole transaction, they walk out with a check for $1,000 in their hand as a thank you for the transaction. So something that's really great for your clients who want to use. Aaron has done it. You've done these deals with me, right?
Yeah.
He was like, wait, what?
Yeah, he's on top of it. I can't speak highly enough, but trust him.
So what about the sellers attorney? Are they okay with that?
Sometimes they might not be taken to that.
So here's the part. So they don't like it because they're making about, so the seller's attorney usually makes between $3,000 to $5,000 themselves from the transaction, right? So they're only making $1,000 less. The one that really gets pissed is the seller's title company, right? Because, and the seller's attorney does get upset about it, but again, they can't cancel the deal.
Oh, that.
Legally, because by law, the buyer has the right to pick their own title company. And so I've had many conversations with the seller's attorneys. They try to fight back, and I'm like, very simple. The law states is very clear. You cannot cancel the transaction. I've had attorneys who tried to cancel the transaction, and I have sued them, and I took them to court, and I tied up the contract for 6 months. They couldn't sell. They didn't do that again. My client actually walked away with more money than what was in the earnest money, and they paid my fees.
Could you run through it again? Like, at what point do you say, no, go with this title company?
Right out of the gate. So it's within the attorney review period. So what will happen is, so I have a whole team of people. So what will happen is, as soon as the contract comes in, we'll process the contract and we'll fire out a response saying, hey, we received this contract. Thank you very much. We'll also have someone from my team will contact the client and talk to the client, explain the contract to them, talk about our agreement, talk about the bifurcation, explain the process, and they get a choice. Listen, you can either stay with as it is, you pay your title fees, or if you want, we offer this option where you actually get $1,000 back at closing, and we explain that to the client. And the client signs off and they sign our retainer that says, yes, I agree. And that's what I want. I want my $1,000 at the end of the closing. And immediately within 24 hours, you fire the attorney review letter, goes to the other side, and it says right out of the gate, we're taking over title. And so we handle that whole process. Now, sometimes the attorney will call the broker and yell at the broker, and then the broker will call you and yell at you about it. And they'll be like, that's what my job, I'm the hired gun. Just point and I shoot. So just put me there, right? Don't get involved. Don't jump in and be like, listen, the attorney's handling it. I would just refer it all back to the attorney. That's what our job is for.
Where do you have your offices at? Because I'm in the Joliet area, so I don't know if you have something like close by.
So our title companies are mobile notaries. So the title company we work with can be all over. We work with a couple of different title companies. My specific office, we are fully remote. So my entire team is overseas.
Okay.
So, and we're all Spanish speaking. Well, they're all Spanish speaking. I speak broken Spanish. Yeah. Oh, no, but yeah. No hablas poquito español. Yeah, that was intended. But everybody speaks Spanish. Even our, if you notice, the flyers are bilingual, right? Our closing documents are bilingual. So when the buyer or the seller is selling the documents, we have an entire set in Spanish. Even though those are not official documents, but I've always wondered, you're signing a bunch of documents, and you have no idea what you're signing because you don't speak English, so you should have a set of documents to understand what you're signing. So yes, and so we have an office in Palos Heights. It's more like a file cabinet, but we do have offices if I need to be with clients or do anything we do there, but everything is we decided to go full technology, fully remote. So everything's in the cloud. When you sign up, we set up a texting system. So you'll automatically, and your client will get text messages on every calendar day, everything that's coming up, everything that's happening. So you're continuously being updated as to changes. Within the next 6 months, we'll actually have an app where you can actually open up the app and you can see where the client is at and all of your deals as a broker. So if you've got 12 deals with us, you'll see all 12 deals where they're at and where the red line is in terms of we're missing this document, we're missing this piece. So I'm all about technology.
I also can't swear by this enough. I've gotten more comfortable with a couple of things. He's wonderful. The staff is responsive.
Much better than I am. There's a reason I hired them.
I was going to say that.
Yes. I'm the guy you call in when it all goes sideways, right? My team makes sure everything runs smoothly. Right. So one of the things that I did in terms of hiring people is we do a lot of personality profiling. So when I hire someone, we have them go through an assessment as to what is their core belief system and how they function. Right. Like some people are accountants and they're great sitting in a corner crunching numbers. Do not put them in a sales room to sell and market to a bunch of A-per-state type personalities, right? So everybody has their role. So my entire team, familiar with DISC, are DCs, which means they're like hardcore and they're particular. So they'll get shit done and they don't waste time and they're like detail oriented. I, on the other hand, am like a high I. So I'm like laughing and joking and socializing. Get me the details. That's not where my skill. So I know my core. So I feel around me the people who can get things done. But that also gives me the ability to think completely outside the box. So I can come up with the crazy ideas of how to get a better price or how to do a transaction or how to clean up title. So any questions? Any other questions?
I just lastly want to offer to everyone as a thank you for coming. Again, because I have a big marketing team. I know spring's here, summer's coming. If you guys want to update a headshot, shoot me a text with your info. I'll shoot you a one-time link to use. You can book your headshot. You do have to come here. Unfortunately, if you're a little far, I'm sorry. But I will get you guys all an updated headshot at your Sure.
We just run enough deals that
Darn
have
it, we
podcast.
just took our head.
Did you? Oh, no.
But here, if you want his contact information, you're gonna have to register. So if you didn't register, raise your hand if you didn't register. Okay, good. Because then I have all the information. I can get you to Elvin, everybody's contact information, and then we'll share his contact information with everybody. You should all have it. Yeah.
But yes, thank you guys again. Please, if you guys want to book any consultations with me, have any questions, that is my direct cell. And I have it in my pocket. You probably saw me texting throughout, the
Yes,
thing.
take a picture of this so you have his contact information.
Yeah.
Tried to pull the QR thing back up, but it's got a
Yeah,
special.
And we have cards.
Please, no question, too big, too small.
Any questions for me?
Mhm.
I have a question.
Yes.
On the renovation loan, I guess I said all three of you. On the contract, what verbiage should the real estate agent use?
It's other, 203K.
And that's it?
That's it.
Nothing contingent to.
Nope.
Repairs or.
Nope, where the mortgage part is on the, what is it like?
The
With
financing?
financing portion,
Yes.
and it has FHA, conventional, I
Yes.
can't remember, and you just swap other, FHA 203K. That's it.
Yeah, but I mean, depending on the deal, is there any other verbiage that's used to protect the buyer?
I think here's some, right, so if you put 203K, someone knows automatically, there's a whole process that's gonna extend the loan. If you put FHA, they're already gonna know, like, if I have two deals that are identical, one is the FHA, one is conventional, they're gonna be, I'm gonna go with the conventional versus the FHA.
And a 203K takes a little longer. It takes anywhere from 45
That's
to
what I was
60
gonna say.
days to do.
So
Correct.
those closing dates,
Closing days.
I know they want to close in 3 weeks, but
Yes.
probably gonna need at least 45, 60. Just
Yeah.
Depending on the contractor to do the
You
assessment.
gotta get a contract to come out.
Right, so I just closed one not too long ago, but
Okay.
the loan officer has told me that I should have put some sort of verbiage on the contract. I'll look back at the terms.
The loan officer was telling you about your job?
Your job?
Basically.
Oh, okay.
Well, there was a little argument and dispute between both. So I have to look back so I have.
Was it about in terms of the amount of work that needed to be done or the
Yeah,
valuation?
something like bumpers, cracks, depending on whether the job was too big. I mean.
But that's something as the broker, we don't know, unless you're in construction, you don't know how much and what they want to do. Because the price can vary based on how your client likes. So that they have a bid. When they have HUD consultant comes out, he does what is required, what is desired, and what is recommended. The required and the recommended are the things that most likely have to be done in that budget. He'll give you 2 bids. One is a blank one, and one is with the numbers, exactly how much it's gonna cost. And so when he gives that number of how much it's gonna cost, you'll know when you're doing it if the deal is gonna work, because if it exceeds the loan amount based off the bid, you'll know that. But what the client wants has nothing to do with you as the broker, and you're not the HUD consultant. So I don't know, there's no other contingency to put it there because
Was it
it's
maybe
based on
subject
finance.
to after rehab value or after repair value?
Okay.
I have a dedicated 203K specialist here who will talk directly to you. If that makes it any easier for any future deals. They structure for you, they help you with it. And then of course, if you need any help with the contracts, you can do that as well. Condo department too. I don't know if you guys have dealt with spot approvals. I know they can be have you had any spot approval, FHA condo
A
buyers?
long time ago before the
Yeah.
market crashed.
Yeah, but our team here we have dedicated departments. So it's not like me as a loan officer, I'm trying to handle 203Ks and I'm trying to handle condos. I have departments for that, so. You know
What's
what? I
your
am gonna
special
touch
department?
it.
What's your special department?
What's that?
What's your special
My special
department?
departments,
Yeah.
getting it closed, you know.
We gonna put up the right
Get it
deal.
closed and amazing customer service.
There you go, all right.
No, but yeah, we definitely do it. We very much dive into like the clients. So, all right, I'm gonna teach you guys something. It was just part of my coaching, right? So I'm sorry. It's part of my coaching here that I like to do with agents. Who knows about the triangle of trust?
Is that like a circle of trust and walking the fuckers?
Okay, so the triangle of trust is you guys get a client. They're not buying cash, they need financing. Hey, I am going to send you to Aaron. Aaron is very knowledgeable. As long as you listen to Aaron, he is going to get you what you need to get you into this home. All right? Client calls me. First thing I'm going to ask, how do you know this agent? oh, well, the agent told me that you were great, you were fine, they're a family of a friend. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, you found a great agent. They are very knowledgeable about their area. They're very knowledgeable about the pricing, the comps, everything. So I can tell you right now, you came to the best place possible. Realtor edified me. I edified the realtor. What does the client think? I made the best decision possible. It's a triangle.
Got it.
Right? It's little things like that, guys, that as you guys grow in your careers.
Where's the attorney on that triangle?
Right in the middle.
Diamond.
But guys, it's little things like this that you don't pick up right away in your career, right? You're right out of the school. They teach you, hey, go do the best job you can, right?
Yeah.
They don't really teach you much from the Lightning School. But it's little things like that as you guys progress in your career, you're going to need to know, you're going to need to understand. Because I do have, and God bless them, I have transactional agents. They just want to get it closed. They don't care if they never hear from them. I have agents that want to be invited to that Christmas dinner, those baptisms, and that's where more clientele comes
And that's what the client.
the biggest advice that I can also give you guys, always focus on helping first, then getting paid. I know we get paid very nicely, right?
But it's a result of you helping.
But focus on helping. What problem can I solve for you other than, yes, you're just buying a house, right? I mean, that's key, but just always keep that in the back of your minds. What am I doing to help this
So that
family?
small deal that you thought we were making a lot of money on, they might have a rich uncle.
Yes.
Or they might have a bunch of friends, and they know a bunch of people, and they start referring you a bunch of business. You never know where it's going to come from. You never know. We have a whole presentation we do on foreclosures and how to make money off a foreclosure deal as a broker and a real estate broker, not to miss out on it. They're like, well, they're going to go rent a place after finding a new house. Yes, you give them housing continuity. You develop that housing continuity for them. They will remember who bailed them out when shit went sideways.
I always tell my clients, the best thank you can give me is a referral. That's the best thank you. Send somebody else. That lets me know that you really value what I did for you.
What'd you find?
Okay, so here's what I was supposed to put on contract, according to the rule numbers. I was supposed to write somewhere along the lines, contract contingent upon mortgage approval and buyer's acceptance of any required repairs as determined by the lender. That's what she recommended to put on the contract, yeah, and I did it, and everything went well, I'm like, let me do this. So, what would you
Does that
recommend?
just go with your?
So we do that in the attorney review letter.
Mhm.
So we'll put in that if especially if it's an FHA loan, we'll indicate that the lender may have required repairs and that the seller is agreeing to either make those repairs or address them. Because sometimes you'll have like FHA, and it's interesting because 3 years ago, FHA was very strict on their inspections. And recently I've been seeing FHA loans where the FHA guy walks in, walks through and walks out. And I'm like, well, wait, I've got building code violations. How do they clear this?
Yes.
So you never, depends on who comes in, but yes, I would add that. If you're not adding it to the contract, it should be in the attorney review letter.
Where on the contract?
You can't modify the contract as a real brokers. That is illegal.
Well, hold on, there's a section at the end of the
Says
contract
other.
which says other, which technically you can write in there, subject to if any lender required repairs, seller agrees to make them.
But if she's doing a 203K, why would the lender wouldn't require any repairs off of 203K?
If it's an FHA loan,
Oh, but she said this is for a 203K transaction.
Well, FHA.
I mean, FHA, what would
That's
be?
a great, I mean, it's one of those that's like specific to that person. So it's like, I personally, when I always tell people like, well, they got a 5% rate, what about me? Well, I need to look at their file like from beginning to start to give you an idea what happened, right? I mean, I'm sure your situation was, unique to whatever happened. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to just kind of sit here and try to guess.
maybe the repairs exceeded what the construction value was.
Well, it was mentioned to me to do it on the contract, so this is like very infant stage.
Right.
Beginning, but you're saying, I just give it to the
Attorney, and they'll
Attorney
handle
will do
it.
the verbiage and that.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah,
You can do both.
genuinely.
You can do both.
No, bring that lender in here.
Whatever.
Let's have a check. Let's have a check.
Whatever.
Oh, okay, we're moving on. We're moving on. Okay.
So I'll tell you what I tell my entire team. There are very few things that we can't unfuck. I know I just said the F word a second time, but there are very few things that we can't undo, right? So if it happens, it happens. We'll figure it out and we deal with it that way. Worst case scenario, we all go to war.
But the beautiful part is we have an attorney review period, and I try not to modify the contract as much as possible. I try to not do anything on it because that makes us liable if we write something in and we don't write it in correctly. Because we're not attorneys.
Right.
Right.
That's why I love being a lender.
And so at the end of the day, you put something on a contract and your client didn't even read it.
Sure.
That part. And they said, wait a minute, why would you write that? I didn't remember us discussing that. But you signed it though. But I didn't read it. Then it's a whole back and forth. And I tell my clients, listen, I'm gonna go with this contract. These are the things that are in there. And your attorney is going to contact you. And when he sends back this attorney review write-up letter, we can go over and discuss it if you have questions based off of what he's told you. Because sometimes, but he's a great attorney, so he has his team that communicates. We just started working together, by the way. So this is a new marriage, you know.
We're in the honeymoon days.
Yes, we're in the honeymoon days.
No, one thing I can say though, Bowtie is one of those guys, and I think he mentioned earlier, but he's not scared to get down and dirty.
Yes.
Because I've had attorneys where they tell me, well, we're almost about to close and I just don't really want to mess anything up. I'm like, well, that's fine that you want that, but what does my client want, right? So you're always going to run into people who, again, very transactional, want to get it closed, don't care what happens. But Bowtie, I can tell you right now.
And I always tell my clients, get an attorney that will fight for you, that will litigate for you. Because some attorneys be like, oh, I only do sales contracts. I don't go to court and fight. I tell them, you pick them. Because I always refer my clients to attorneys who fight. Because I fight. I do. I fight for my clients.
I don't like going to court, you know, but if the other side pisses me off enough, I will go to court.
Well, attorney to tell you that they're not going at all. And
Yes. I'm telling you, I started in litigation. That was my thing. I love to litigate.
Well, thank you all for having us.
Yeah, thank you
We
guys.
hope that you all learned something from us.
Thank you. We appreciate your patience with all the technology sideways. And those of you who are watching from home, if you're still there, we're sorry for the internet dropping and technology. So,
Thank you. Thank
Well,
you.
so now
Good work.
yes, absolutely. There's a lot left. If anybody wants to take some home.